We had our live audience when they got their raffle ticket for our awesome raffle prizes. Also could submit a question. So these are some of the best of the best. I don't want to say the best of the best. I don't want to offend anyone whose questions weren't picked. These were just some of the ones that stood out initially. We're going to.
There are no dumb questions. There are dumb people, though, but there's no dumb questions.
Just dumb people that ask questions.
That ask questions. There's dumb people that ask questions.
So we'll start off with a softball, something that I know is near and dear to your heart, the game of golf.
Yep.
This question says, what is your favorite golf course in Las Vegas? We may even say like top 3 because there's too many to pick from. And what is your handicap? We'll say what's your handicap during the offseason. I don't know how much work gets done during the year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, yeah, I'm going to be very biased with the golf. I still have to go play a bunch more courses in the city. But, I mean, I'm a Southern Highlands guy. So Southern Highlands course, easy course number 1. That's the best course for me. I want to say – my son's here, so he might question. It's 12.5. 12.
He said no.
Higher? Lower? He's going 14. My gin says I got to then enter some different scores because my gin says like 12.5, 11.9, 11.9, but he's thinking I'm more of a 14.
And what is the number 1 course that you have not played yet that you're the most excited to check out?
Here in the city?
Here in Vegas.
You know what? This might sound. I want to check out Summit. I want to check out Summit. Those Discovery properties. They do usually a pretty good job with those courses. It's hard not to have fun on one of those courses.
All right. Next question. We haven't talked a lot of defense, and Paul Gunther, one of the most experienced defensive coordinators, not only in the conference, not only on the West Coast, but in all of college football with his breadth of experience in the National Football League. So this is a pretty basic question, but it's a good one. We really haven't talked defense. What will be the base defense, and what's it going to look like out there?
If you've seen Paul, we're going to be pretty multiple in what we do of how we attack people. I would say we're going to base out of a 4-down front, more a 4-2-5. But he's going to have his packages. He has his, we have the 3-down package. We have the base package. We can get into 3-down with big personnel in a base defensive package, not the nickel. He's going to have some different dime packages. Coming from the NFL, he's going to have. We have a pretty complex blitz scheme that he's going to use to get after people throughout the course of the year. And so, I think it's, looking at the offense and teaching everybody on the offense, it's been a challenge through spring ball, through training camp, all the different defensive looks and blitzes and pressures they've brought at the offense. I think it's really helped the offense learn quickly to see so many different things being thrown at them.
All right. We also got to remind our audience for next week's show, make sure you write your name on these. We'll give you the shout out for whose questions we end up picking. Again, no order, just kind of some questions that stood out initially. We're going to see, I'm sure throughout the season, they'll get more and more specific as far as the games and as far as the players themselves. But here's kind of a broad one for you, Coach. What has been the most pleasant surprise about Las Vegas so far?
Boy, I had some good things that I was expecting coming in. I think the people are really friendly, and one of the things you think about, you do think it is, right, the hospitality capital of the world. So, of course, you would just assume everyone's friendly. But you know what? I mean, you go wherever you go, you walk down the street, people wave at you. It's a very friendly place. That's been a really great surprise is how nice, genuinely nice, I think the people of Las Vegas are, which I think's been kind of a really cool thing because I didn't know what to expect. Listen, I knew I was going to get great food. I knew we had great entertainment and shows. The weather's, for the most part, except for today's heat, was nice. We've been pretty blessed during training camp. But to me, the biggest surprise, I just think there's such great people and how pleasant everybody, all the people that we've met out here are.
Give it up for yourselves. He's certainly not talking about the guys on this end of the table. All right, rolling things along. Ask Coach Mullen anything. We're here at Parkway Tavern, 215 in Flamingo for the Dan Mullen Coaches Show. All right, next one for you, Coach. Which quarterback throughout your career would you say has been your best accomplishment? And what about these quarterbacks this year kind of reminds you of some of those guys that you've coached in the past?
Boy, that's tricky. I would go probably Dak Prescott, beginning a career to where he is today. Not a very heavily recruited player. I remember him coming to our camp. And, one of the things he came in and, we put him through a workout. And we were ready for him to be our guy and offer him. And he was awful. And, but I'm like, hey, here's some things that I need you to work at. throwing the ball, this, and you got to come back. And he came back to a second camp, which is like all the top prospects we had at this camp. And we do like a weight workout and a training workout. Our strength coach came racing out of the weight room. And he said, we need to offer him now and make him our quarterback. He said, I've never seen an it factor leadership guy like Dak Prescott. My first thought was, I sure hope he throws the ball better this time than he did last time. But it's a great thing. He had worked on everything God asked him to work on and improve on from the first trip to us to the second. He'd improved drastically. And I said, if he can do that on his own in a couple of weeks, we can coach him to play the position. And I think, from that day, I don't think he's ever stopped working to this day to improve his game and get better. So he's a huge one. Alex Smith, obviously, he was a 1-star, I think, coming out from a pretty good accomplishment. Going from a 1-star to 3 years later being the first overall pick in the NFL draft. That's a pretty good jump that he made right there. So I've been blessed to be around some extremely talented players. Kyle Trask, high school backup to finishing third in the Heisman voting category, in the Heisman Trophy competition. I'm sorry. But I've been blessed, but all of them, it's the work ethic they have, all of those things. And I see that with our quarterbacks, the work ethic they have. And you look at them like it's a guy named, you're trying to compare guys. It's tricky. Alex Orji, athletically, more like kind of Tebow-ish in a way. I was going to go Cam Newton. I coached Cam Newton too. I don't think he's as fast, but he's just that big, thick, powerful guy that a Tebow was. I don't know that I've had an Anthony Calandra who just, who he reminds me of I've had to play against. Probably would be a Johnny Manziel type of player. So that's a pretty good category. I threw those two guys in. There's a bunch of Heisman trophies out of that category. We put those guys in.
Yeah, not bad at all when your comparisons are Cam Newton / Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel. So that's perfect. All right, last question. This is a quick one for you, Coach. You had mentioned earlier in the week that there's going to be some exciting stuff going on during halftime, during some of the breaks, but especially the pregame show for you guys running out onto the field this Saturday. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff, and Phil says, when do the fans need to be in their seats so they don't miss the new pregame?
Definitely. Listen, I would get there early. Make sure you get there. You don't want to miss. We're going to put on the best show in town. Right. I mean, there's something for everything. Right. I mean, think of this. We have, you want to come watch national champions? Come to the game. Rebel Girls and Company will be out there performing. They're defending national champions. The band's out there going to be performing for the game. Our cheerleaders, our dance team. I'll tell you what, we might have a new start to the fourth quarter for Juice and Energy in the stadium. So make sure you stick around. But I think you certainly want to see our walkout. So you need to be in your seat. I'll tell you this. If anybody see Kenny at Sphere, Kenny Chesney at Sphere, that opening when anybody here see it? Am I the only one?
We know Dolby did.
What? Besides my wife with me. But I'm saying, like, the opening was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Well, you know what? We've challenged our marketing people. We want to put on a show that's for everybody. We might play some football too, but during the course of the game. But you want to get there. If you're not in your seats, a minimum of 5 minutes before kickoff, maybe 6. I would say 6. We're opening the locker room door at 6. So if you are not in your seat seated when that clock hits 6 minutes before kickoff, you're going to be disappointed. You're missing part of the show.
Hey, let's just make it easy. Get in your seats like a half hour and be ready to go make some noise as the Rebels warm up on the field. All right, we'll close up shop. Coming up next, our final segment of the Week 0 edition of the Dan Mullen Coaches Show. We're going to talk a little Idaho State and some long-term goals for the season. This is the Dan Mullen Coaches Show on the UNLV Sports Network from Learfield.